Hi guys, welcome to GFN Gaming. I'm Russ, and today we're going to be playing an 125 point game of Warhammer 40k Kill Team between the White Scars and the Necrons. We're playing a match play mission from the Kill Team 2019 annual, and we're playing the Necron specific mission, Yield to No One. In this mission, each player sets up an objective within their deployment zone, at least 6 inches away from the edge of the battlefield. The Necron player automatically gets strategic advantage, so will pick sides, and the opposing team will start the deployment phase. The game uses variable game length, so there'll be a roll at the end of turn 4 to see if the game continues. Each player gets 1 victory point for each enemy model taken out of action by one of their model's attacks or psychic powers, and in addition, at the end of each battle round, players score 1 victory point for each objective that they control. That's the mission, now let's look at the teams. Starting with the Adeptus Astartes, or more specifically, the White Scars. Leading the White Scars today, I have a classic TAC Marine Sergeant. He's got a power sword and a grav pistol. For my combat and zealot specialists, I have 2 identical company veterans. Both of these guys have power axes just because I had extra points, and they also both have storm shields for that +1 to their save and 4+ invulnerable saves. The last specialist in this list is the heavy tactical marine gunner, and he's got the missile launcher. Got a great amount of range, so nothing should really be out of range for him, but it's an odd choice. Going for the crack missiles gives him the strength to deal with the Necron's new T5 base, but D6 damage isn't great for their reanimation rolls. But at strength 4 on the frag, he'll be wounding a lot of Necrons now on 5s. Finishing off the list, and you can see now that it's definitely not an optimized Space Marine list, but I have 2 Vanguard veterans, both loaded out the same with grav pistols and power swords. And that's it, that's the White Scars Kill Team list, the Dawn Blade. And now for the Necrons Kill Team. Leading the Necrons, I have an Immortal. Now rocking in at T5 thanks to the update, he should be pretty hard to shift. I've gone for the Gauze Blaster so I can use superior inheritance, however I can see a better argument for the Tesla, seeing as he is the leader he's unlikely to be getting close enough to get within his half range. For my combat and zealot specialists on the Necron side, I have 2 Lich Guards, both with hyperphase swords and dispersion shields. As great as they are with the shields, I do think having one of these guys, or maybe both, with the sides instead would probably be better, just because of the damage output, but this is what I have modelled. They also got a pretty nice boost to 3 attacks base, so both of these guys will have 4 attacks on the charge at least. So then I have a Triarch Praetorian, and he's my veteran specialist. He's got the Rod of Covenant and has one job this game, which will be to use that veteran move to cause havoc whilst the slow moving Necron lines close in on the White Scars. T5 and 2 wounds means he probably should survive at least a few combats unless he gets swamped, but we'll have to see what happens. And finally, I do have the new models, but I've just not painted them yet. I'm using my old converted flayed ones from back when they could reroll their wounds. Alas, they've traded that for a -1 to the AP, which is okay, I guess. It's nowhere near as good, but I'm okay with it. Still a nice cheap unit to fill in the ranks. And that's it, that's the teams. That is the Hierophant Dynastic's kill team for the Necrons. Now let's move on to the game. Because of the mission type, the White Scars will deploy first automatically. Here's the deployment phase. Don't worry, I do realise I've deployed outside the zones, and I'll correct it in a few seconds. So at the start of the first battle round, but before the initiative phase, the Necrons are going to use adaptive tactics. This allows their veteran specialist to make a normal move or advance. You can only use this tactic once per battle, and it does cost 1 CP. And he's also going to advance. And with that move, he's going to plant himself right on the objective. Pressure's on. And with that potentially risky advance, we're going to move on to the initiative phase. White Scars get a 3, and Necrons get an 8. This Lich Guard's just going to advance, getting a 4. The Immortal Leader's just going to ready, and the other Lich Guard is also going to advance, getting a 3. The Praetorian is going to declare a charge on the company veteran and the leader will overwatch. Throws a grenade, but misses on a 5. Gets a 4 on the charge, and with his fly keyword it is enough to get into combat with both of them and stay within 2 inches of the objective. This Flay 1 is going to try and charge into the Vanguard veteran, who is going to overwatch with his pistol. Misses on a 4. A 6 on the charge isn't enough, but he's going to use the movement to get closer. The other Flayed one will also charge, getting an 8 and moving closer. And here's a quick recap of the Necrons turn 1 movement phase. The White Scar's heavy missile launcher is just going to ready. This Vanguard veteran is just going to move forward. And the company veteran is going to charge both Flayed ones. Getting a 9 on the charge, and he picks this one to move into combat with. This Vanguard veteran is a little torn, so he's going to declare charges on all available targets. He gets a 4, which would mean he could go into either of the Lich Guard, and he picks this one. And here's a quick recap of what happened in the White Scar's movement phase. So it's a very strong start for the Necrons already. With that veteran move and then getting first turn, that means that Triarch Praetorian is on top of the objective and has initiated a charge against the leader. They've also got 2 Lich Guard working their way towards the home objective as well, tying up White Scars in combat. Let's see what they can do. The Immortal Leader is going to fire into the missile launcher. At this range, it's going to be hitting on 5s at just 1 shot. Misses on a 4, but will use a Szarekhan reroll. Hits on a 5. Fails to wound, but will use a Szarekhan reroll on the wound roll. And wounds on a 3. -2 AP, so this will be a 5-up save. And he makes it. So the Necrons are now going to use 1 CP for superior inheritance, meaning they can shoot again with the Gauze Blaster. But this time they're going to target the Vanguard veteran that's within half range, so it'll be 2 shots hitting on 4s because it is obscured. Hits with both. And wounds once with a 6. -2 AP, but he makes a save on a 5. Missile Launcher Gun is now going to fire back against the Immortal Leader. With toughness 5, he is going to use the Crack Missile. Could be risky with the D6 damage, but we'll see how it goes. 1 shot hitting on 4s, but it's a miss on a 1. Not going to use a reroll at this stage. Vanguard veteran's going to fire his Grav Pistol into the Lich Guard here. Hits on a 6, at strength 5 and toughness 5, it'll be wounding on 4s, and that's a failed wound. Moving on to the combat phase now, and the White Scars are going to use those 2 CP they've been saving for Decisive Strike. They're going to use the company veteran, and he's going to attempt to take out the Triarch Praetorian before he can kill either the leader or both, potentially. 2 attacks base and 1 for Zealot, and it'll be hitting on 3s. And all 3 wound. This is a very good start. -2 AP, so this is a 5-up save. And he fails all of them. So that's 3 wounds and it'll take him down to 0, but as it's only 1 damage, it's just going to be a straight 1 die roll to see what happens. And with no rerolls, that is just a flesh wound. Back to the Necrons initiative, and the Triarch Praetorian's going to try and take out that leader. But with the flesh wound, he is going to be at a -1 to hit. So 3 attacks base, hitting on 4s because of the flesh wound. Just the 1 hit. Strength 5, toughness 4, so it's wounding on 3s, and that's a wound on a 5. And on the roll of a 2, that's a failed save, so this is going to be 2d6 to take him out of action. And that's first blood on a 6, and 1 point to the Necrons. Moving back to the White Scars, and this Vanguard veteran's going to try and take out the Lich Guard. 2 attacks, hitting on 3s. Both hit, and with a power sword, +1 strength, so wounding on 4s, and that's 1 wound. -3 AP, but he's got a dispersion shield, so it's a 4+ save regardless. And he makes it in style. Next model able to attack is the Company Veteran Combat Specialist, going into the Flayed one. Hitting on 3s, and wounding on 3s. 6-up save, so it's going to go to an injury roll, and that's the worst result ever. So because of reanimation protocols, 0 happens to that Flayed one. And now he gets to attack back without any flesh wounds. Hits twice on 3s. I'm going to use a Szarekhan reroll here, and that's 3 hits. Strength 4, toughness 4, so this will be wounding on 4s. -1 AP, but +1 for the Storm Shield, so a 3-up save. Loves it with a double 6. Combat Lich Guard is now going to potentially mince this White Scar Vanguard veteran. 4 attacks, hitting on 3s. That's a healthy spread. Wounding on 3s. Just the one, but I'll use the Szarekhan reroll here as well. Still just the one. And he fails it on a 2. 1 wound down. And that's the end of turn 1. With their leader gone now, and just playing the standard, that's just going to be 1 CP, which will really limit them now. Necrons have done a great move with the veteran, using it to capitalize and take hold of that objective. Let's have a look at the scores. At the end of turn 1, that's going to be 2 additional points for holding both objectives, which will bring the Necrons to 3, and the White Scars are still on 0. So at the end of turn 1, it is 3-0 to the Necrons. Now on to turn 2. Turn 2 initiative rolls. White Scars get a 6, and Necrons get a 10. Necrons going first. The Immortal Leader is going to ready, and this Flayed one is going to charge in. He's less than 2 inches, so I'm just going to pop him in, no roll required. The Zealot Lichguard is going to charge in to the Vanguard Veteran to seal his fate, and he gets it on a 9. Not a lot happened, but here's an overview of the movement phase. The Missile Launcher is going to ready, and the Vanguard Veteran is going to charge into the Combat Lichguard. Gets it on a 7. Debated withdrawing with a Company Veteran in with the Triarch Praetorian, but I left him in combat. And here's an overview of what happened. Starting with the Necrons, and the Mortal Leader is going to fire his Gauze Blaster into his only real target, the Missile Launcher. 1 shot, hitting on 5s. Going to use the Szarekhan reroll here. It was meant to be. We're going to use Superior Inheritance here though to try again. And it's still a miss. He's going to fire back now, and he hits on a 6. It's a crack missile, so it's strength 8, toughness 5, so wounding on 3s. And that's a 6 to wound. -2, so it's a 5-up save. And that's 3 6s in a row. He's fine. Moving on to the combat phase, and the Zealot is going to try and take out the Vanguard Veteran with 1 wound remaining, hitting on 3s. Going to use a Szarekhan reroll here. But it's still just the 1 hit. And it's a wound on a 3. Needs a 6 on the save here. And he gets it. Charging Vanguard Veteran now into the Combat Lichguard. 2 attacks, hitting on 3s. And wounding on 4s. 4-up save for the Lichguard. And that's 1 wound down. Charging Flayed one is now going to try and take out the Company Veteran. 3 attacks, hitting on 3s. Wounding on 4s. Needing a 3-up, and failed on a 2. 1 wound down. With all the charged units gone now, we'll move on to the Necrons initiative and their first pick, and they're going for the Triarch Praetorian. With his flesh wound, this is going to be 3 attacks, hitting on 4s. Just the 1. Necrons are going to use a command point here to try and get a second hit to make sure, and that's 2 hits. Needing 3s to wound now, and just getting the 1. Fails the 4-up invuln, but they're going to use a CP to try and keep him alive. But it's still a fail. And on the roll of a 4 and a 5, he is taken out of action. 1 more point for the Necrons. And he's just going to consolidate further onto the objective. The Vanguard Veteran with 1 wound is now going to try and take out the 1 wound Lichguard. Yikes. 4 attacks coming back his way. Just 2 hits, but wounding on 3s. Needs 6-up saves, but he fails both. He's going to be out of action on a 4-up. And they get him, and that's another victory point for the Necrons. Now moving over to this flank, and the Company Veteran's going to put all of his attacks into this 1 Flayed one. Hitting on 3s. And wounding on 3s as well. 6-up save, which he fails. And on the roll of a 1, it's just a flesh wound. He now gets to attack back. 3 attacks hitting on 4s now. And that's a wound on a 5. And he makes a save again on a 6. End of turn 2 now, and the Necrons again hold both objectives, so that's going to be another 2 points. Along with their kill tally, that takes the total score up to 7, with the White Scars still having yet to score. It's not looking good. At this point, I think you'd be forgiven as the White Scars player for conceding. It's going to be almost impossible to win now. But let's give it a go! Moving on to turn 3. Initiative roll, and the White Scars get a 6. And the Necrons get a 5. Missile launch is going to move back out of line of sight of the leader and to try and get line of sight on the Praetorian. Not a lot of options here. The veteran has to kill the Lich Guard, and the company veteran has to kill both flayed ones to really have a chance of winning. The Praetorian's going to ready, and the Zealot's going to charge into the Vanguard veteran, making it on a 4. No eligible targets, so the leader just readies. Not much happened, but here's a quick recap. Necrons have the only readied model, so the Praetorian's going to shoot at the missile launcher. Misses on a 1, but doesn't get the Dynasty rules, so can't reroll, so I'm going to use a CP instead. And it's still a miss. It's a good start for the White Scars. Because of toughness 5, he's going to shoot back and a crack missile, hopefully low damage roll. Hits on a 4, fails to wound on a 2, so we're going to use a CP ourselves and re-roll that. -1 AP only, so it will be a 4-up save. And he fails to save. It's now going to be D6 damage. Really wanting a low roll? Ooh, a 5. Not great. So ideally wanting to see no 6s here and at least 1 3. And it's a thing of beauty. The perfect roll. So the White Scars plan is coming together. They've got 1 victory point for killing the Praetorian, and the Necrons are no longer on both objectives. So far so good. Sadly though, the Necrons will get a strike first. The Zealot is going to go into this Vanguard veteran. Hits 3 times. Re-rolling for Szarekhan. And that's 2 wounds. Again, using a re-roll here. Needing 6s on the save, and failing both. Fails to take him out of action on a 1, but they're going to use a CP reroll and try again. And they get him on a 5, pretty much ending the White Scars plan for victory. The Necrons go up to 8 victory points with that kill as well. The Zealot will then consolidate towards objective 2 and the missile launcher, but he's not in range to get the objective, just out. The combat company veteran's going to have to split his attack, so this is going to be 2 on the one on his left first. Getting 1 hit, but it fails to wound. And the single attack on his friend hits on a 6 and wounds on a 3. Fails to save on a 2, and on a 4 he is taken out of action, so that's another victory point for the White Scars, taking them up to 2. 3 attacks from the other flayed one coming in, hitting on 3s. Wounds on a 6, and he saves on a 6 as well. At this stage, at the end of turn 3, the Necrons will score another point for holding their home objective, and the White Scars will score 0 points. That would mean the scores would be 9 to the Necrons and 2 to the White Scars. Saving themselves from the indignity of a failed break check, the White Scars will now concede. You might have been able to call this from the lists alone, but that is a victory for the Hierophant dynasty and the Necrons. Looking back at the lists, I only have a small number of Marines that I've painted up as White Scars, so it's not an optimized Space Marine list, but the Necrons, I've got enough models to make arguably a much stronger team, and I think that's just what happened in this game. The Necrons just had a far better team, and they just dominated. Thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, it all helps out the channel. Thanks very much, and we'll see you in the next battle report. Bye now.